All right. It is what it is. In the midst of severe inner turmoil, where it appears as though there is no logical solution, where all the walls are caving in, it's collapsing to my left and to my right. I can see the movement. My ceiling fan isn't hanging as high as it normally does. And we call that a hazard. I'm sure you're familiar with emergency preparedness. If you've ever worked in a corporate setting, they teach you how to use the fire alarm. If you've ever been to public school, you went through a fire drill or two. You're familiar with many things. And sure, I could go through the list. Form a single followed line. I want attention. We all know the hand signals. Guys, we've been through it all. That fire extinguisher isn't just meant to look good inside that paneled glass. At some point or another, it serves a purpose. At some point or another, you have to arm yourself. Whether you want to or not. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And it pains me to say it, but I know that I've been extinguished. My big claim to fame, January 15th, my big debut. Where'd I go wrong? I had a great breakfast. Eggs Benedict. An extra slice of French toast. The headset that my generous employer Care First provided to me as I started working remote. It had been sitting by its lonesome on my dresser. But something rose within me on January 15th, and that still small voice inside told me, grab the headset. This is your day. And so I did. And I didn't do it reluctantly. I had a very childlike smile, reminiscent of when I received my first Nintendo as a kid. I put that headset on. I fired up my mic. And I said, I hope today is a day of endurance. If I don't last today, I don't know if I'll last at any time. Now, as someone whose natural habitat is a self-promoter, a self-motivator, someone who's helped produce several motivational videos online, but you may never see the credits. Most YouTubers don't like to release those sorts of details, but I know what I've been a part of. And this isn't the time for me to be bragging. After all, how could I? However, I've made myself known to the public. This has been long awaited. I've been second team runner-up for most of my life. I was ready for my breakthrough performance. And it was sensible for me to think second place runner-up would be a likely effort that I weld together my first run through. But sad to say, not everybody gets a trophy in this business. There aren't enough medallions to go around. I don't even see a silver dollar. There's no rewards for those who aren't on the cutting edge. And there's no luck for those who don't know how to prepare themselves. Now, after my performance, some would say I had more enjoyment watching reruns of the Hunger Games. And that struck me especially different, because I started thinking, you would rather immerse yourself in an environment where you already know what's going to happen, as opposed to being a part of a new environment where we're paving the road as we go. Doesn't that sound like a place you might want to check out? And to my great dismay, many said, no, I'm going to watch the Hunger Games. With a career in podcasting that's faded off into oblivion faster than The days of Linsanity, where Jeremy Lin was a showman of showmans. Everybody wanted to be Asian, myself included. I just wasn't able to recover. And it's a reality I have to deal with. I've been sifted to the core. People have been sending me hate mail. I've used the same Hotmail account for 18 years now. And I fear I have to change and start a new email account because I just can't handle the criticism anymore. Could this be the last time that you hear from me? At this point, anything could happen. But in this state of being where so much has turned for the worse, there's a glimmer of hope. And I received that this morning. All odds were against me. I believed it was over. There's no recovery. The little voices in my head were saying, no way you can recover. Congratulations. You made it to the World Series. But did you forget it's a 7-game series? Did you think you could just waltz in? You put all the hard work in, 162 games in the regular season. You show up ready to go in the ALDS. The ALCS, it's a piece of cake. And what do you know? You show up to the World Series. And you can't avoid all the pregame interviews. That's right. They're all there. All the cameras are on. It's just the way it was. Linda Cohn, she's asking me, what's the plan? Sage Steele, do you like your chances? Do you feel like you're ready? Lights, camera, action. There's no hiding now. It's time to perform. It's time to perform. We need to see how this is going to pan out. We need to crown a victor. And so you get to the World Series, and you soon realize I'm competing at a college level. What a sobering moment. I never would have anticipated that I wanted the World Series to be a total of 3 games because I just can't handle the embarrassment. And so it was. I climbed the mountain. You guys saw it. It was wonderful. It was a sight to see. The newspapers couldn't stop talking. They wanted me on all the late night TV shows. I didn't have enough hours in my day. And I don't say that lightly, because I believe you can always make more time. But as I was faced with such notoriety, such recognition, I realized something that I'd never realized before. And that was 24 hours is just simply not enough for the elite. For those who know how to win. I was on top and no one could take me down. I had tasted the best wine. I was no longer settling for Safeway cold cuts. You'd only see me at the Whole Foods because I realized my lifestyle, my shopping habits, they need to embody my media success. I stopped shopping at Banana Republic. I knew it was time to step it up. Nordstrom Rack was no longer an option. No longer could I wear calf length socks. It was no-show season. I bolstered my loafer collection. And people realized, they took note. They could tell something had changed. This man has tasted some form of success. And they were asking me, how'd you do it? What have you been doing? They were asking me, where can we find you? They wanted to know of all of my social media platforms, of which I was happy to disclose. Under normal circumstances, I would keep a low profile. But in these days, the farthest thing from what I could do was stay quiet. I realized I had peaked. I had a voice. This must be what it feels like to own a franchise. This must be what it feels like for Joe Gibbs at Joe Gibbs Racing. Post Malone knows what I'm going through. And this is what I wanted. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that my career was more closely related to a Jason Derulo, or perhaps Nelly Furtado, instead of an Usher or Trey Songz. In these moments, I must recalibrate myself. I must lower my expectations. I must come back down to ground zero and rebuild from the bottom up. There is no other logical solution. How can you fall so far? They all want to know. They want to do a 30 for 30 on me. 60 minutes? I'd need 120 minutes to tell them the story. They're perplexed. It doesn't make sense. And we need an answer. Well, I'm sorry. All right. Mr. Kimmel, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jimmy Fallon, I'm sorry. There's not much more I could say. But here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm hanging on by a thread. And I've chose to put all my stock into that thread. And I'm going to hold on for dear life, quite frankly. As long as that thread stays in place, so will I. But I have to be extra tender. Because any kitchen scissor could cut right through it. I try to steer clear of anyone who has a potentially sharp object in these days. Because I'm tender, like lean beef. I'm not cooked yet. Oh, how I'd prefer to be resemblant of overcooked meatloaf or burnt lasagna, something that has a little more grit to it. But I'm just not there. Raw spaghetti, that'd be better. But I have been tenderized as only the meat market could do me. But like I said, we're holding on by a thread. And I've lifted my head. So this is what I've been doing. I relive the glory days. I relive the glory days. I go back to what I was doing before that worked. My days, they were a thing of beauty. Many admired from a distance. Many from up close. Sorry, few from up close. Not to be confused with the antonym of that word. I go back to those glory days. And I propel myself into the good times. We've heard the songs. We've heard all the songs about the good times. Let the good times roll. And I know I'm a 90s baby, but don't think I won't blast back into the 80s if I need to. I go back and I think about my life. What do I do during the day? What do I do now? And what was I doing back then? Well, I can tell you right now, it's a 9-to-5 hustle and bustle with Care First, whom I respect very much. That's a local health insurance company here in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia metropolitan area with substrates located in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware. And that 9-to-5, it seeks to have its way with me. Like a wild banshee, it runs around. And I grab my lasso. Thankfully, I started in this field in an unconventional manner. I wasn't lassoing a young goat or a young calf or a pig. But when you're doing it with an animal that may not have any real need to be lassoed, you start to ask questions. But my mentor at the time wasn't taking questions. So I had to learn to respect him and his wishes. But as I learned that technique, I soon saw it carry over into my 9-to-5. Metaphorically speaking, I was herding in all the problems. I was trying to reel them together, get them in line, put them in the stable, and lock them up. But it couldn't be done in that 9-to-5 time frame. But that's the amount of time that I agreed to give Care First. You'll have my 9-to-5. If I need to go a little longer, I understand. So 9-to-5 I'd work. And then from 5 to 7, I'd engage in some form of activity. where I could elevate my internal blood pressure. Perhaps some jump rope. You might catch me doing a light jog around the neighborhood. Maybe some walking lunges in the driveway. Something along those lines. I needed to feel it, so I'd go for it. Repetitions in a world where we often say, one more rep. Give me one more rep. I need 3 more reps out of you. Come on, you got 5 more in you, don't you? Well, do I? I don't know if I have 5 more in me. I might need to call it quits now. Be ready to catch the bar. If you need to look away in disgust, I understand. I didn't ask you to be my coach. But there comes a time when the coach is a little disappointed with the specimen that he's coaching up. From 5 to 7, I work on my physical endurance, my physical strength. And after entertaining my white flag moment many times throughout the session, eventually I pull the white flag out and I say enough is enough. I can't handle anymore. I don't know how many reps I've done. I hope it's enough. And I seek some form of approval. Who's there to give it to me? Most have been hard on me my whole life. I don't want this to be a sob story, but sometimes I can't help it. The good news is that I continue my day. Just remember that. I continue my day. And I will continue to continue my day. And I've mustered up enough strength to continue my day over the long haul. You don't have to worry about me continuing. I'll do that. That's part of life. I didn't need a college curriculum to teach me how to continue. It was in my DNA. Now, supposing that we ended at 7 o'clock on the dot, from 7 to 8, I would waltz my way into a caloric intake. Now I don't know what sort of foods I could be expecting at this point. It could be anything. There's no telling. Because sometimes I know what's in the fridge and other times I don't. Multiple people have access to the fridge. It's as if Secret Santa is roaming around the kitchen, spontaneously distributing as he sees fit. And that's a nice thing to have. I could also be talking about a personal chef. Now, having that could be similar to the lifestyle of the rich and the famous. The best of athletes, the best of actors, the best of musicians. And I'll take that caloric intake. I welcome it. And I'll put something on a porcelain plate. And I'll say a quick thank you. And there I go, off to the races, like I'm jumping rope again. Now, let's assume this was a balanced meal. After a balanced meal, it's quite often the case to have a little burst of energy, wouldn't you say? Now with that energy, I figure, oh, it's time to do something now. And you might be saying, well, didn't you just do something? You want to do more things? And I say, yes. Of course. We still got time to play. I don't need 17 hours of sleep tonight now, do I? All right, then. Let's continue the night. I walk downstairs, and I remember, well, yes, that's right. How could I even forget? There's a ping pong table down here. Now, I don't want you guys getting too worked up about that. Yes, it's a ping pong table. Can serve multiple purposes. But at the end of the day, it's just a ping pong table. You can find them at many retailers across the nation. I believe wherever you're listening to this, you could probably travel less than 30 minutes to find yourself a nice ping pong table. A ping pong table is just that. It's a table. It's not some fancy apparatus. It's a table made out of some sort of material that I haven't thoroughly inspected just yet. But it's sturdy enough to handle many different things. And that ping pong table is going to have a mechanism for the net that can be attached to the sides of the table. And as you have that ping pong table set up, you can go ahead and start playing. We used to have ourselves a ping pong table. And it was different because it didn't sit on top of another table, a pool table, that is. It had legs of its own, custom manufactured. This was a whole ordeal. The maker of this product thought it all through. Now, how special. I was very pleased to have something like this as I grew up. Now, if I'm playing ping pong, I'm not doing this because I'm feeling relaxed. I'm doing this because I'm wired up. I have been jolted in some way or another where I have the propensity to say, who wants to play ping pong? That's not a light statement. I say that with a very serious demeanor. And so on this old pool table, you'd lift up one side and you could practice by yourself. You serve it up, and thankfully that wall that you have erected is going to return the ball back to you, and you can work on your game. What a great invention. That's a great mechanism. A great feature for a ping pong table. Now, if I'm not going to be playing ping pong, I'm playing pool instead. It's because I'm feeling more relaxed. If I ask someone to play pool, I'm looking to chill. Now, don't think that I won't be competitive. Oh, I'll be competitive. I'm looking to win. But this is a mental sweat that I'm breaking. In ping pong, there's going to be evidence that people were down there playing ping pong. The floor is going to be a little wet. Little droplets of sweat particles. That's right. Now, sure, I'll be relaxed playing pool. And as a matter of fact, what I might do is I might grab that pool stick, sharpen up the tip with some chalk, and assume the position, set up the cue ball, and then the lucky number 7 ball, because I need all the luck I can get. And I'll work on that bank shot that I've been trying to get for the last 2 weeks. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I'll fail. It remains to be seen. Either route could be taken. Ping pong, pool, or ping pong. But when you walk down those steps to get to your game room, which I hope you have, you're going to realize I've got all that I need. Because let's be honest, I know you went to Walmart at some point in the last 5 years. In those last 5 years, it's inevitable that you're going to pick up a set of ping pong paddles. It just happens. At some point, you're going to walk out of that building. You're going to say, I don't know that I need these. I don't even know if I have the ping pong table. But in a world where we continue to lengthen our storage units, I wouldn't be surprised if one's hiding in there. And you say, well, good. At least I've got a ping pong paddle or two. But what about the balls? And let's not be mistaken. Okay? I know who I'm talking to here. We've all been to a drinking party or two in the last 5, 10 years. And most of us don't arrive on time because we don't really know when the best time to show up is, despite any advisory that you receive from the party hosts or someone who's been there plenty of times before. You just don't know. But they all know you're coming, and you're running behind. And then you hear a buzz on your phone. And you pick it up and they say, Hey, Bryson, we're excited to have you come over tonight. It's going to be a good time. And I just want you to know that we've already been going. We already started the party. But we hope that you're still going to be here. But as you're coming, would you mind running to the store on the way here and pick up some ping pong balls, because we're going to play a little beer pong tonight. And in that moment, you hang up the phone and you think to yourself, I knew that was coming. You're a little surprised they didn't already have some, but that's okay. That's all right. You're in a good place right now. It's no big deal for you to run off to the store real quick, is it? So you run off to the store and you pick up a pack of 6. You go through express checkout. You hop in your car and you run off to Veronica's party. Now, when you arrive, they all give you a hug. We're so happy to see you. And you can't help but smile. You're happy to be there as well. It's a bilateral feeling for everyone in there. You're all happy. But to your great surprise, they only needed 1 ping pong ball. Here you are with a pack of 6. You don't know what to do with the rest of them. You wish you could have just pulled out 1 ball and handed it to them right out of your pocket. Hey, do you have an extra ball? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. And then you pull it out and you hand it to him. Wow. That guy's been to a party before, hasn't he? And as the party concludes, you think, well, those balls, I'm going to bring them back with me. So you take that remaining pack back home, 5 of them, and now you have them. You put them downstairs, and there you go. You've got your ping pong paddles and you got your ping pong balls, and you're ready to go. And that's just how it's going to be. A lot of people ask me, ping pong, huh? That's pretty impressive. Takes quite a bit of hand-eye coordination, doesn't it? And I casually look to the left, look down, and try and diffuse all of the emotion that I'm feeling in that moment. I want to play it off like it's no big deal, but I know it is a big deal. I want to play it off. I want to be bashful. Hey, no, it's a lot easier than you think it is. But no, I'm sorry. It's not a lot easier than you think it is. In fact, ping pong is way harder than you could ever imagine. And I would personally advise you to stay as far away from a ping pong table as possible if you haven't started yet. Because you just might be welcoming a heartbreak that you may never recover from. For me, that was podcast 1. Now, people will ask me, Ping pong, okay. Can you play ping pong? Can you finish a ping pong game to 21 points quickly? Yeah, depends. Depends on your skill set. Depends on how you've been playing recently. Have you been playing recently? Have you taken a break? Those are all factors. Now, for me, most know this, but out of respect for you all, I know we're all at different places. Some people know me very well. Others, they're learning. I'm a 2 out of 3 guy. Best 2 out of 3. And I'll play. And I hope I get the first win. I hope I get the second win. And I hope I can call it a night at that point. Sometimes it just doesn't go as I dream it to be. Sometimes I'm visualizing myself pinpointing that corner location 5 shots in a row. And then I hand the ball back over to him and I say, it's your turn to serve now. And after every serve, I just drill it in an unreturnable way at a location where no one other than perhaps an Olympian could volley it back. That's how I see it. Best 2 out of 3. Sounds like an ideal set of circumstances. But I'd be greatly misaligned and ill-informed, and quite frankly, just someone who's exaggerating the truth to say that I'm a constant 2 out of 3 guy. Most times it moves to a 3 out of 5. It'll move to a 4 out of 6. 4 out of 7, I guess, is how that would work. Best 5 games out of 9. Now, I'm not looking to play that many games, but I'll do it if I feel like I have a fighting chance of winning. And that could be the case. But if my skills are going in a downward trajectory after the second game, I'm going to save myself the humiliation. Even if it's just me and one other. I can't take it many times. Now, the reason why I can get away with bumping it up to best 5 games out of 9, it's because sometimes I wake up and you know how this goes. You wake up and you're just extra persuasive that day. You don't know what got in you. What happened? I can't remember. Did I fall asleep listening to Gary Vee? Why am I so persuasive at 9 a.m.? And why has it remained this way up until 8 p.m.? Some things we just can't dial back the answer to. But in those cases when I'm extra persuasive for the day, this doesn't happen every day. Once in a blue moon, it comes, and I cherish every moment of it, but I realize it's fleeting fast. So I capitalize, and I say, 2 out of 3? I didn't know you were so confident. What do you say about 3 out of 5? And just like that, they say, this is an opportunity to show him that I'm way more confident than he thinks I am. So we're off to the races. Best 3 out of 5. And whatever needs to be done to continue, I do it in hopes of residing a champion that night as I lay my head to bed. Now, at some point, I'm going to have to wind down for the night. I'm fully aware of this. So I go up to my bedroom and I make sure that all the lights are off except for maybe a lamp. And with that being said, I frantically panic because I don't see my bottle of Advil anywhere. Luckily, I pull out of my dresser my backup supply. And I say, I guess we're tapping into this now. Liquid gels only. I sit them there. I have an audiobook ready to go. And as much as I'd like it to be motivational, I know that if I listen to something motivational, then I'm going to go down and play more ping pong. So I have to have some self-control. And I choose to put on a physics lesson, and quickly I fall asleep. But before I fall asleep, I have my night mask on. What a great invention this is. The night mask. Now, when I give reviews on Amazon.com, I'm not going to do them until I have the product in my hands and I give it 3 days. There needs to be a little buffer period. First use could be a little loopy. Only because I'm getting used to the product. But after 3 days, I'm familiar with the product. That product has basically become an extension of me. And so I continue to use, and if I like it, it's going to be good news for everybody because they're going to hear about it. There was a time in my life where I would review things without even trying them because I was an angry boy, fed up with disappointment. But the good news is that the tides have changed and I have matured and developed into someone I'm more proud of. Someone who wouldn't put an erroneous review of a product without giving it the due diligence that it deserves. Now, before I forget, a beautiful thing happened this morning. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know this would happen. As I said, I thought my career was over. Show business came and it went. All under my supervision. But as I woke up this morning, I didn't wake up in normal fashion. I heard a loud rumble outside my window. I pop open the curtains expecting there to be probably 100 people based off of this noise level. I was surprised. There was two people, 2 individuals giving me a standing ovation. This was 8:30 in the morning, at an hour where people are normally mowing their lawns. They knew it was okay to raise their voice, and so they did. They said, "Hey, we're proud of you. We heard the first podcast, and don't be discouraged." What nice words to say, huh? And I quickly recognized that these two individuals were, that's right, my very own subscribers. For those who have just been jumping into these podcasts without doing any background research, that's correct. I have 2 subscribers. They've been with me through everything. I've released in 10 years 2 videos. Now, I thought those subscribers were going to leave me, quite frankly, after that performance of mine. I didn't think I did enough to hold them close and let them know you can count on someone who's going to be delivering day in and day out. I want you to assume that I've been on Adderall each and every day that I've been putting my content together. That's the type of focus that I want you to see from me. I don't recommend it, but if the content is extremely good, you might even think he might be snorting that Adderall. And that's a fair assumption. Now, as someone who's claim to fame on the World Wide Web, specifically YouTube, is a video tutorial teaching people how to play piano to a Kanye West song that has just shy of 8,000 views. I do feel like I'm unqualified to talk to you. I do feel like in a way you've been rigged. That you've been scammed into a movement that can't seem to get off its feet yet. And I just hope that you recognize I'm willing to do what it takes. I don't take steroids unless I'm getting to a point in my life where I see diminishing results. The law of diminishing returns, that's a real law. I like to pride myself on someone who can naturally deliver, who can do it without the use of performance-enhancing supplements. But at some point, the show must go on. I need someone to deliver. Can you do it? They're asking. You don't want to say no, but you know deep down, I probably need that enhancing supplement to make it happen. Now, guys, we're not here to talk about enhancing supplements or steroids or illegal substances or legal substances or substance in general. We're here today because of a special man that many people are familiar with. Many people who know that I have zero connection to. We are not blood related. He is not an extension of my family. I did not grow up in the same area that he did. But I do model my life after him. And his name is Martin Luther King Jr. That's right. May we not forget this wonderful day, Martin Luther King Day. Now, what's this day all about? It's about a lot of things. I could say it's about inspiring people. I could say it's about being a motivator. It's about being a trendsetter. Better yet, a movement maker. Better yet, a legend. Heroes are never forgotten and legends never die. I would say MLK somehow managed to be both. As someone who's constantly looking for self-improvement, someone who spends many hours on YouTube looking for an advantage in this ultra competitive world we live in, I've found a lot of solace in Mr. King. And on this special day, I do a few things to help myself remember the kind of man that he is. After all, I want to be a man who remembers and doesn't forget. Now, I'm known to be a guy, if he's not getting a standing ovation in the morning, I can still wake up on my own. And I might start my morning doing 35 push-ups. Is that impressive? For some of you, that might be. That's right, 35. Probably takes a little under a minute to do that. So we're talking about a level of stamina. Yeah, you can't just start one day and get there. Maybe the 1% can. People who I know don't have much body weight, potentially, but that's besides the point. 35 push-ups. Great way to start the morning, isn't it? And what will I say about that? Am I impressed with my own ability? No, I'm not necessarily. But it's about getting yourself in the right mindset. As I like to do on a normal basis, I will barrel roll out of my bed, and as I turn and fall toward the floor, I try and catch myself with both hands, with my feet properly in the push-up position, in a rather narrow stance. Sometimes it doesn't always work the way that I want it to. I don't always catch myself as I'd like to. Sometimes it's a noisy procedure, but no one else in the house seems to be concerned. No one knocks on my door and checks on me to see if I'm okay. But I go ahead and I do those push-ups. And then I stand up and I have a blood rush. And I say, wow, maybe coffee isn't required just yet. Now, on a day like today, MLK Day, do you think I'm doing push-ups? Do you think I'm going to take the time to do push-ups? Is this a day about push-ups or sit-ups or planks or pull-ups? I don't know. I'm just kidding. Of course I know. And I hope you know too. Guys, this isn't a day for physical prowess. We're not looking to flex that bone today. Flex that muscle today. I've realized that MLK put way more focus on the emotional and spiritual side of things. He could care less if he had a size 48 chest. In fact, I don't know. I don't know if he ever worked out. He was a little before Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe if Arnie was present back in those days, MLK would have a few different hobbies, if you know what I mean. So I put the physical exercise to the side and I say, we'll see you later. I'll have to see you tomorrow. Can't see you right now. And I think that's how he'd want it to be. Can you imagine if he was giving one of his prolific speeches, perhaps the I Have a Dream speech, down in Birmingham, Alabama, in the middle of the 60s, and he looks to the left of the stage, and he sees the V-Shred guy with Cali Muscle doing a video collab. And they're teaching people how to master the one-handed push-up. They're doing mountain climbers. They're doing planks. They started doing explosive push-ups, jump training. Athlete X hops the fence, and he says, I've got a perfect circuit. And he pulls out cones, and they start doing agility work. Guys, I'm going to be the first to say that's not an environment that I would have wanted to been in. I would have feared for my life if I was there. And then they started chanting for someone else. Can you imagine? We want Cali. Unbelievable. And Cali Muscle thinks he's the man of the hour. and he tries to take the stage. And then you have security, thankfully. Dick Butkus was out there, and he tackles him. And what people didn't know is Dick Butkus was also a trained expert in submission techniques. And there goes Kali Muscle. Guys, I'm thankful that MLK didn't live in that sort of environment. He didn't live in a time period where we had all kinds of... We didn't have trolls back then. And that's a good thing because MLK was talking big deal stuff. These were critical times in this period of life, in the timeline of American history. So what I can say is I have a dream myself. And my dream is that I'd look a little more like MLK. How's that for a change of pace? MLK, rest in peace. But I want you to know you're not the only one who's motivating people today. You might have been one of the first influencers, but you're not going to be the last. I'm picking up the steam as I go. Hoping to take a few with me as I move. Now, let me return for a second. I'm talking about honoring Martin Luther. So I would hope you could feel my seriousness as I speak. Listen, I might go outside on MLK Day, and I might let my dog off the leash. That's right. I might let him off the leash. And I might stand on my deck, raise my voice with authority, and speak to all the animals in my backyard, in the woods, any that could hear me, and try and gather them together in a spirit of unity. That sort of thing might just have to happen on MLK Day. Because MLK, he was in front of the masses. And he was bringing people together with his voice. He wasn't yanking them to come. That's why my dog's going to be off the leash. I'm not going to force that dog to go where I want him to go. I'm going to hope by my voice I can call him. And then maybe a few deer on the way. Feed the dog a treat. Feed the deer some marshmallows. I'm going to try and embody what I see in MLK. He trusted in his words. I should do the same. MLK, what more can we say? What a great man, and we're thankful. What a day. Now, I know myself, when I'm looking to embody this sort of character, I could easily flash back to 6th grade. And as I'm leaving my school facility, there I am waiting for the bus. And I hop on that bus. And as I walk up those steps, I start working my way to the back. We all know the deal. We're looking to be in the back. And this isn't a stab against Rosa Parks. I'm pretty sure she's not listening to this podcast right now. But the back is where we wanted to be. That's where most people wanted to be. I'm not going to say everybody. Not everybody has the same desires, and that's okay. But the back of the bus was a special place. The back of the bus, you had just enough privacy and just enough notoriety. Everybody on that bus knew who sat in the back of the bus. As you walked through the hallways, people could smell it on you. They knew that kind of kid right there. He's sitting in the back of the bus. There was this understanding by the way that I nodded at my friend down the hall. He knew how I came to school in style. He knew the sort of fashion I was arriving in. It wasn't just the American tee that he saw. The American Eagle tee, that is. He said this guy's probably the complete package. Great striped polo. Nice JanSport backpack. Wouldn't be surprised if he's riding in the back of the bus. And he was right. Now, the back of the bus, this was a place where you never quite knew what was going to happen. And if you weren't sitting in the back, you always wanted to know, but you just weren't in the loop. You heard all the commotion. You could tell there was some activity, but the seats were too tall and you were too far away. The mystery of the back seat. That was one of the reasons why I was so enticed. I needed to know what was going on back there. And I soon became a part of it. The good and the bad. There was often an imbalance. One week we were lifted in one direction. The other week, the bus driver would let us hear it. The only person I wasn't safe from on that bus in the back seat was the bus driver. It's to no surprise that they lifted his seat up on those nice hydraulics. Because as they say, there's always someone watching. The back seat. Did you sit in the back seat? When you walk down that aisle, there was an intensity in that moment. Some people would look at those who sat in the front to midsection and they'd say hi. They'd give them a compliment. And others, stone cold. Not a break in their step. They knew where they were going. And they went right back to that seat. And that was the sort of thing that garnered respect. You had to give that guy respect. That sort of man that did a nice presidential pace to the back seat and took his rightful spot that he earned. You might be saying, how did he earn it? How do you earn the back seat? The back seat can be earned in a few traditional ways. You sit as close to the back seat as you can, and in a constant day-by-day effort, you include yourself in the conversation any way that you can. You let them know that if there were more seats, you know I'd be right next to you. But unfortunately, there aren't enough. But you make sure that you're as close to the back as you can be. And at some point, they know that if you can get a cute girl to laugh at you, we need this kid in the back seat. This kid's got some swagger. Word travels. Especially if you're a sixth grader. By the time you're seventh, eighth grade, you can guarantee you're running the back. The other way you get in the back seat is you take it by force. There's going to be fights. It's just the way it is. I would hope you're playing a sport. You can't be on the math team and think you're going to fight the guy in the back seat and that you'd have any support or that you'd even win that. Because the guy in the back seat is probably representing some local rec club. Maybe he's on a travel team, but he's getting playing time wherever he is. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you got other guys your age who can support you. You let them know, hey, next Friday, that's going to be the day where I get in the back. I'm taking down Pat. Word travels. Did you hear that? Guys, this Friday on 21-212, there's going to be something that you've been waiting for. You didn't know it. I'm talking about some kind of a brawl. And someone might take their bra off in the process because it's going to get intense. And the winner of that fight is going to get that 7th grade bra. And they're going to go home. And when they go home, there's going to be a sense of victory. And that girl who gave you that garment, she's going to become your girlfriend. A lot's on the line when you step into that sort of match play. Now, whoever wins that fight, they're going to stay in the back seat. It might be verbal altercation. It might not be verbal. It might start as verbal, and then it might turn into more. But you got to let them know that you want that back seat. So I'd recommend starting it off verbally. And you got to go to the guy that's running the back. And he might tell you, you know what? I like you. I like that you took initiative. And then he'll kick Jorge out of the back because Jorge just got there based off proximity and because he's always the first one on the bus. He should never be back there in the first place, but he smells and no one wants to get too close to him, and he won't leave. So that could happen as well. There's a multitude of different scenarios. The back seat's a beautiful place. And we can just see how clearly times change. I loved the back seat. I wanted the back seat. I thought about the next morning and afternoon on the bus in the back seat before the day even started. That was a place of performance. I knew I needed to be on my A game if I was going to be in the back seat. Back in the 60s, it wasn't so. The back seat, not a big deal. Actually, quite the insult. You want me to sit in the back? I don't want to sit in the back. They thought they were forgotten in the back seat. And I wish I could have been there to verify. But I can only speak from where I've been. And when you were in the back seat in 2005, there was no better place to be. Everybody knew you. You weren't forgotten by a single person. And you had respect on your name. So I thank MLK. I thank MLK for the way he worked and what he did. The back seat. The back seat was completely transformed because of MLK's work in Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks, she brought her A game. She said, I'm a front seat kind of lady. That's where I want to be. That's where I'm planning to be. And she got what she wanted. She got what she asked for. If there's anything MLK's taught me, it's that you would understand what you're asking for and that you would get it. MLK, we salute you. We knew you were asking for peace. We knew that you wanted unity. As a Christian man, you did it all. And you did it without lifting a finger or a hand in anger or hatred. You embodied the right way to handle one of the largest disputes that we've ever had as a nation. And you did it without any sort of violence. For me, I realized that I just wanted the reputation and the fame. Segregation was never a problem for me. I didn't have to worry about it. If it was a problem, I probably wouldn't want the fame as much as I did. But in 2005, I was bloodthirsty. I had a mixtape out. I was doing everything that I could do. I was going to all the events, all the parties, working my way to the back seat of the bus. I wanted it. I was hungry. But that's what you do in life. You set your eyes on something that you want. No matter what level of intensity it might be at. Whether it's culturally very, very relevant, if it's a huge societal issue, or if it's just personal. Maybe it's just a school thing for you. It might be something that's only relevant to you right here and right now, in your small little circle. And that's fine too. But you find something that's important and you run for it and you make it happen. And that's what MLK did. So guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this round up. This has been a great podcast. I've enjoyed it. I think I've caught my second wind. As a matter of fact, I think I'm reconsidering retirement. I might stay around longer than I originally anticipated. I think things have been going pretty well for us. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm at 3 subscribers by now. I hope everyone's feeling encouraged, and we're going to make sure we keep the ball rolling. Have a wonderful evening whenever you're listening to this. If you listen to this in the morning, that's even better, because it means you're starting your day off on the right track. We'll talk to you soon.